Okay, picture this. You're looking at your bank account and you feel completely secure in those digital dollars just sitting right there. But what if those digital dollars were just an illusion of safety? What if you woke up tomorrow to find they were suddenly worth 87 cents or, absolutely nothing at all? Hello and welcome to this explainer. Today we are taking a seriously fascinating journey. We're moving from the unregulated, Wild West days of cryptocurrency directly into a highly regulated, very high-stakes future. We are talking all about stablecoins, the massive seismic shifts in how we actually trust digital money, and a brand new piece of legislation that is literally reshaping the entire global financial landscape.
To really grasp the gravity of this shift, we kind of have to look at the sheer scale of this market. $322 billion, that's a B, as of Q2 2026. That is the staggering total market capitalization of stablecoins. And to put that number into perspective, transaction volumes in this space are projected to surpass Visa and MasterCard combined by the end of the year. No way, right? We are definitely no longer talking about some niche internet experiment here. This is foundational, global financial infrastructure. And with stakes this incredibly high, the rules of the game absolutely have to change.
So how are we going to unpack this giant web of finance, regulation, and tech? Here is our roadmap for today. Number 1, the stablecoin trust problem. Number 2, the Great Audit Gap. 3, enter the Genius Act. 4, grading the top issuers. And finally, 5, the compliance gold rush. Let's just dive right in.
Okay, let's dive into Section 1, the stablecoin trust problem and the illusion of safety in digital dollars. Now, to understand the problem, we first have to really understand the promise. The core premise of a fiat collateralized stablecoin is actually incredibly simple. The idea is that for every single digital token circulating out there on the blockchain, there is exactly one real US dollar, or its equivalent, sitting safely in a bank account somewhere, a strict one-to-one peg. And this simple promise is absolutely crucial because it provides the liquidity and price stability that institutional investors and everyday users desperately need in a super volatile digital market. But what happens when people start to suspect that the dollars in the bank don't actually match the tokens they're holding?
Well, that suspicion leads to what's known in the industry as depegging. Basically, when trust in a stablecoin's reserves just evaporates, the token loses that one-to-one value. Panic sets in, everyone rushes to redeem their tokens for real cash at the exact same time, and boom, you trigger a catastrophic digital bank run. I mean, we saw exactly what happens when trust is broken with the infamous collapse of algorithmic stablecoins like Terra USD. Billions of dollars wiped out practically overnight. It's because of historical catastrophes like that one that institutional investors are finally drawing a hard line. They're not just asking anymore, they are demanding absolute mathematically verified proof of reserves.
Which brings us to Section 2, the Great Audit Gap, and why current reports are failing investors. So if the big institutional money wants proof, why aren't the current financial reports protecting them? You'll hear stablecoin companies proudly claim all the time that they're audited, but in reality, the vast majority of these reports aren't actually audits at all. They fall into this really dangerous gray area that we call the Great Audit Gap.
To really understand this gap, think of it like a medical analogy. An attestation, which, by the way, is what most stablecoin issuers give you right now, is essentially just stepping on a scale on one specific day. A third-party accountant signs a piece of paper saying, yep, on this exact date, at this exact time, the reserve balance matched the token supply. It's just a snapshot. A full financial audit, on the other hand, is like getting a full-body MRI, a comprehensive blood panel, and a lifestyle check all rolled into one. A full audit digs deep. It evaluates internal controls, examines asset custody, looks at counterparty risk, and gives you deep assurance that the whole system is actually sound.
So the crucial point here is that those snapshot attestations carry some severe hidden risks. Just look at this stark example. Back in October 2021, the CFTC hit Tether with a massive $41 million fine. Why? Because regulators found that over a 26-month sample period, Tether actually only held sufficient fiat reserves on 27.6% of the days. Seriously, because if you only take a snapshot on the exact days you know you're stepping on the scale, well, you can easily mask all the days when you're dangerously under-collateralized. The market quickly realized it needed a much bigger hammer to fix this.
And that brings us to Section 3. Enter the Genius Act and the regulatory hammer dropping. Because that regulatory hammer has officially dropped. Enter the Guiding and Establishing National Innovation for U.S. Stablecoins Act, or the Genius Act, signed into law in July 2025. This legislation marks the absolute end of the crypto Wild West. It establishes the very first national set of rules for digital currencies that are designed to keep a fixed value. And it creates a brand new, strictly regulated category of permitted payment stablecoin issuers.
Let's walk through this, because the FDIC's strict new demands under the Genius Act are incredibly comprehensive. First up, issuers have to provide highly granular public reserve reports every single month. Second, and this is a real game changer, the CEO and CFO now have to personally certify the accuracy of these reports, and they do it under criminal penalty. And third, any issuer with more than $50 billion in outstanding tokens has to undergo a full annual GAAP financial statement audit, meaning they have to follow the absolute gold standard of generally accepted accounting principles that traditional corporations use. They are pushing for absolute transparency and accountability here. It's actually very similar to the massive impact the Sarbanes-Oxley Act had on public companies way back in 2002.
You know, there's a fascinating irony in all this. Historically, cryptocurrency has caught so much flack for its opacity, right? Being associated with shadow finance and all that. But as CPA and blockchain expert Stephen Baum points out, crypto is actually the most auditable asset out there. Because stablecoins operate on public blockchains, the supply can be verified in real time by anyone. The technology itself actually offers unprecedented auditability. That is, of course, provided the auditors know how to look past the surface and connect that on-chain data directly to those off-chain bank accounts.
Let's move to Section 4 and see how this builds, grading the top issuers, a reality check on the giants. It's time to take these rigorous new standards we just talked about and apply them to the real-world players who are currently dominating the stablecoin market. Let's see how their reserves actually stack up.
Just notice the high contrast in risk between these issuers. On one hand, you have Paxos, who manages PayPal's PYUSD, and they are operating with extreme conservatism. They literally only hold FDIC-insured cash and very short-term treasury bills. Then you have Circle's USDC, which uses SEC-regulated money market funds and gets audited monthly by Deloitte. But then, consider Tether. They only do quarterly attestations, and their reserve mix includes U.S. Treasuries sitting right alongside Bitcoin, physical gold, and secured loans. Objectively speaking, that is a wildly different risk profile for an asset that's supposed to be perfectly stable.
But the pressure of the Genius Act is kind of forcing everyone's hand now. In March 2026, Tether, who is the absolute giant of the industry with a staggering $184 billion market cap, announced that it's finally engaging an unnamed Big Four accounting firm to perform its first ever full financial statement audit. They are scrambling to meet these rigorous new institutional expectations because, frankly, under the new law, they simply won't be allowed to operate at their current scale without one.
Which perfectly sets up Section 5, the compliance gold rush, following the money. Because this collision between cutting-edge blockchain tech and strict new federal regulation, it shifts our narrative from just theoretical accounting right into massive real-world impact. Whenever regulation fundamentally rewrites the rules of a multi-billion-dollar industry, a highly lucrative new job market blows wide open. Welcome to the compliance gold rush.
And this brilliantly illustrates what that gold rush actually looks like. The numbers here tell the whole story. Right now, stablecoin-specific roles are commanding a substantial 20 to 40% salary premium over equivalent traditional fintech positions. While a senior compliance officer at a regular bank might pull in around $150,000 to $180,000, a stablecoin compliance officer at a Genius Act-licensed issuer is currently commanding between $180,000 and $250,000, and that's often with significant equity upside attached to it.
So you're probably wondering, why are these salaries so high? Well, it's simple supply and demand. There is an incredible shortage of people who actually possess these skills. To capture these massive salaries, companies are desperately hunting for a very rare hybrid profile. They need people with deep knowledge of the brand new Genius Act, a solid understanding of multi-chain smart contract architecture, the ability to design AML or anti-money laundering programs specifically for on-chain crypto flows, and real expertise in traditional treasury operations. Basically, if you understand the traditional banking system and you understand the blockchain, you are currently the single most sought-after talent in all of financial technology.
So, what does this all mean for you? It leaves us with one final, absolutely vital question. Are you ready for the new era of programmable money? The Genius Act has officially wiped away the crypto Wild West and replaced it with a multi-billion-dollar, strictly regulated framework. Whether you're an investor looking for real safety, a developer building the next wave of financial infrastructure, or a professional looking to capitalize on the biggest job boom in fintech right now, the stablecoin shift is here, for sure, and it is backed by the law. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer. Keep learning, keep exploring, and I'll catch you next time.